Today I'm going to be sharing a tutorial on how I made my Christmas accordion book. I've pulled out my Halloween backdrop papers. This was my favorite release this year, and so it's going to be a lot of fun to make one of these in this style. I've also made a prototype, and to make the prototype I've done something a little different where I took an envelope, which is a lot like chipboard, and I've cut two tag shapes for my front and back cover. You could use a cereal box or, whatever you have. And then I've covered it with this gorgeous backdrops paper. This is either in backdrops 1 or 2. I'm not sure because I have mine all mixed up. But on the packaging, it clearly shows what you're going to be getting before you buy them. And then I've used one of the metal deco frames for a book plate. And behind that, I have a fabric scrap that I've dripped some ink on. And I've also cut a window in that fabric. And then I've backed the whole thing with some of the blackout paper. I just tore a corner off and then stuck it behind and then added the word keepsake. And that's a pretty simple cover, but this paper is just everything. So if you're not into collaging the papers, that's a perfect way to go. And then inside I've done the same thing. I've used the paper for the cover. I've used a lot of the field note snippets and ephemera. I've used the selvage tags in this one. And you can see, because they're double-sided, they're perfect for this because you're gonna see it on both sides. And I've used a paper doll and just collaged some different bits on there. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this because I want to get to the making, but I did want to show you that you can use different themes. You could do a rectangle, you could do a square, you could turn your tag sideways like this. So really, the sky's the limit when you're making this style of book. I've also used a lot of the baseboard pieces because I really like how that plumps it up. And I've got some urban layers here. I've used the journaling cards in this, which is really cool because you have that background already. And then I just added a baseboard piece here and here, some words, and that's my tag for that. I've done something different as well. I've cut a window in the paper, which I used to do a lot. And it's kind of a fun way to have something peeking through from the page behind. I've got a vintage flare there. Some layering here, another baseboard piece, and then a small journal card in that pocket. I haven't finished this one completely, but you get the idea. I'll come back and do something later. Another double-sided salvaged tag, and then some more marbled paper on the back cover. And then the back side, I've got a photo here for a tuck spot, a ticket layered behind. That's from the ticket book. Some ephemera. And then this side of the window where you can see the vintage flare. Another pocket with a journaling card. And then for this flip up, I did something a little different. Instead of using two fabric scraps on either side, I used one wide one because it was plenty for this narrow of a page. And then I did it the same where we've got this flipping up, some things layered behind. And now we're back to the front cover. So what I'm going to do now is get out my etc. tags so that we can get started. I'm going to use these full sheets for the accordion portion of the book. It's easier to connect longer strips together than several short strips. I also want to choose papers that will look good side by side and back and front as well. With these papers, it's easy to find things that are going to go well together because they're designed that way. They all mix and match beautifully together. I already have seen that I like this page. I mean, even these two, look at that, like the orange, it picks up the orange. So what's it like on the back? It's good. I like that. I like that. I love this paper. So beautiful. And then I also was spotting this black paper here. It's the map, which is really cool, end to end. I just am liking that. I'm really drawn to that. So I think I'm gonna put these two together. Yeah, I'm going with that. Okay, so I'm gonna set these papers aside. And then what I wanna do is decide which I want first, because your first paper that you choose is going to be the first one that sticks out on the side, you know, as you fold your accordion. And another thing I want to think about is my cover. So what am I going to do for my cover? I like the black with the marbled. So I think I'm going to start with the black paper, and I want to tear that and leave the flat edge on the bottom. So I'm going to take it, here, let me move into frame a little better. I'm going to put it up next to the tag and just kind of eyeball it and decide how tall I want my page to start. And I think I like it about right there, maybe. Right there, maybe. So let's tear, and I just tear them randomly. I don't really worry too much about it. So that's going to be my first one, my first part of the accordion. And then the second one, I'm going to just match up the ends and try to start tearing there so that they will line up when I put them together. About right there. And then we'll tear this one. Again, same idea, just kind of random. And then we have our first part of our accordion. And the way that I did my first accordion is I glued these together on my prototype. I've sewn my pages together. You can certainly do it either way that you'd like. There's no right or wrong, just whatever you want. But for the sake of time, I'm going to glue these end to end, and I do maybe 1/2 inch. You know, I overlap them maybe 1/2 inch. I'm using Collage Medium because that's my favorite glue. A little goes a long way. You don't want too much. And then let's just overlap. And let's just line up the bottom and put those together. And it takes a second. I want to make sure that that is set before I start folding, because the next step is to fold. Something that you can do as well is, like I'm doing it even after I glued, I'm just tearing some of that off so I have a random edge right there. And so now it's time to start folding the accordion. And it's going to be this way. We want to start our tab off to the right because this will be the inside. When we turn it over, we're going to see this. And so what I do is I leave a little tab because we're going to cover all this up with paper eventually, but this is how I'll attach it. So then I want to decide, okay, where do I want to fold it? And I think about right there. So I'm going to line this straight edge up at the bottom and fold it. And I'm not going to use a bone folder. We don't need to break down the paper too much on that fold because it's going to be just fine the way that that is. And then, so we want it sticking out about like this. So now let's fold this side. And I have about the same amount hanging out on that side. So let's get that bottom edge lined up so we have a straight fold. And then I simply start folding. And as you can see, we're going to need another paper because, let me get that straight, because we don't have a tab on this end to connect to this tag. So if we were going to keep going and make more pages, you could use like a full sheet. You can go forever and make a really crazy long accordion if you want, because I'm liking that overhang right there. See what I mean? I really am liking that. So let's do that. Let's turn this around. Instead of having it go this way with my cover, I'm gonna have it go this way. So now I'm gonna tear this off. So let's just tear about right there. Good enough for me, that works. Then we're gonna need to add paper to this so that we can extend it far enough to where it comes over and folds this way. So let's find a piece of paper that's gonna work for that. And I might have a scrap piece. This one would be really good, but it's not, well, I could make that work, right? Yeah, I'm kind of liking that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to cut this flush on the bottom so that I have a straight edge, and I'll be right back. Now what we're gonna see is this when we open it up, but I'm really liking that black on black. And this will be just about right to give us a tab at this end for our next cover. So now I'm just gonna simply tear, and I wanna kind of line this up so that they're the same, which, wow, that worked out really well. So now I'm gonna tear down, because obviously I have to, and then just tear across the top. So let's join these together. I'll get my collage medium. Okay, then we will join the flat edge on the bottom. And again, I need to tear this. I forgot to tear this again. Not a problem. Tear this side. I can add more glue, it's not a big deal. Okay, now we will add a little bit more glue and glue that down. Okay, I'll let that set up a little bit. Okay, I think that's pretty well set up, so I'm not gonna have any movement. So now what I wanna do is fold this back, which will be my tab for the back cover. That's what it's gonna look like. I'll get this straight. Oh, I'm out of frame again, sorry. And then that's what the back will look like. This is what the front will look like, basically. I really like that. Came out pretty cool, I like it. And of course we can add papers, you know, as we go along and we're making, we can add more papers, more ephemera, and we'll just keep building from there. But before we attach to our covers, what we want to do is add our pockets. And before we add our pockets, I want to add a little bit of ink around the edges. I'm using brushed corduroy, and I got the dome foam, and I'm just going to go around, add a little bit of ink. Now we want to add our pockets. I've got a lot of little scraps left from my Halloween makes and also from what we just tore. So we can always use any of those. They're perfect for this. Set those out of the way. I really like this paper, and I think I'm gonna like that sticking out like that. So why don't we make a tuck spot or a pocket on the side like this? So I'm gonna take this over to my machine. I'm gonna just sew on these two sides. Okay, I have my pockets all sewn in. Let's talk about how I determine how far I want my pockets to overhang. The way I determine that is I take one of my cover tags, and that could be any shape that you're using for your cover, and I kind of place it where I think it looks good, you know, with it sticking out the side. And then I just tear my pockets at that length. As you can see, I make some shorter, but the longest ones I want at that height. And I want several because the reason I do this, not only do I like the way it looks with the pockets like that, it also gives some support in the center of your book if you want to set it up and display it this way. And so another thing to keep in mind is you can tear these after you have your pocket sewn in, it's not too late to come back and even tear it completely off. You know, you can still make adjustments after the fact. Another thing to keep in mind is when you are sewing, like for example, I've sewn all my pockets on this side first. Sometimes if I have a pocket that's going to line up right, I will sew them front and back at the same time. But in this case, I just have sewn them all on this side. I turned it over. And then when you're adding the pockets to this side, you want to make sure you're following your stitch line, or at least not sewing right through the middle of one of your pockets. And so that's something else to keep in mind. Another thing I wanted to cover was I had a really good question in my last video. She was asking, what about, you know, these folds and how well are they going to hold up? And one thing you can do is you can add strips of fabric. You can check out my Halloween accordion book where I actually took sections, like this would be cut right here, and I took the sections and hinged them with fabric on either side. And so that's an option. You could just take fabric and add it right over the top, or some tape like the linen tape. One last option to think about is simply extending your pockets over your folds, and I'll show you an example of that where in my prototype I've extended this pocket over the fold. And you can sew on either side. I would recommend not sewing right down the crease because that will break down your paper. If you're gluing, it really doesn't matter. You can glue on the fold. I hope that gives you guys some ideas. You know, if that's a concern that you have, that might help. I think I've shown you the pockets on this side. I've got the double pockets here. And then I want to show you the back side and what I've done. So this photo right here is one that I had grunged up with frosted crystal and crayon for my Halloween projects, and I didn't end up using it, so it was perfect for this. I love having things sitting around that go into the next project. And then this page I've left blank because I'm not sure what I want to do there yet. I've added this little pocket following the stitch line from the page on the other side. And then for my flip up, instead of making it flip up, I've used a tag instead of paper, and I've made it flip out. And how I did this was I took my tag and my fabric scrap and I've sewn it right here. And it doesn't matter whether you're flipping it up this way or this way. I've done all my flip ups the same, where I've glued or sewn to the paper or the tag, and then I fold it over like this. And either if I'm going to glue, I run a bead of glue right here and then glue it down, or I lay it down on my page and I sew right next to the tag. So that's how I've used my fabric scraps for my flip ups. And this one flips out. We've got the little tab left here. And then also with the tag going upside down, you can hang things from the tag if you'd like. So next I want to talk about the covers. Let's work on that. What I do for the covers is I lay my tag down, or your cover, whatever you're using for your cover, and then you want to think about what's going to look good with your pages that are sticking out. And I'm going to use some scrap papers and do some collage. And I know that I like this. I pulled this out. I had talked about the marbled paper earlier, but I'm feeling like that's just a little bit, it clashes. I'm not liking that. So whatever looks good to you is going to work. You know, go with what looks good. I like this paper with my pages. This one might work. So I kind of like that. So that's a rough idea. And then I kind of like that on the bottom, or do I not? I think I'm gonna go with that. Okay, so I have my papers glued down to my cover. I've gone ahead and used the same 3 coordinating papers on the back cover. Now, if you don't want to use the same papers front and back, you certainly don't have to, because say you turn it over and you're not liking that, You could certainly do something completely different on the back. They don't have to match. This isn't, there's no right or wrong. It's all about what looks good to you, what feels right to you. The next step would be to attach our covers to the book. I'm not going to do this yet because I might want to do some more sewing in this first, although I have been known to take the whole thing with these covers to my machine. So it is doable. But if you want to jump ahead of me and attach your covers, the way you do it is really simple. Just put some glue on your tab here, lay your cover where you want it to be, kind of line it up, just eyeball it where it looks good to you. Make sure that that is set up before you start doing the back cover or any other kind of work, because you don't want it to be like this later. So the back cover, you just do it exactly the same way. And when you open it up, you're going to have your tab like this. And then you just want to cover everything in paper, whether it be one sheet like this or collage some papers. There's a lot of options. And so I'm going to stop at this point, and in this video, I will come back with part 2 and talk about, embellishments, the pages, and give you guys some ideas on what you can do. I've already pulled out a book plate and, kind of thinking about the cover. And if you're doing Halloween theme, this is really good. I love that paper. Or the backside, check this out. So this would be like for every day, which I'm thinking of doing. I really like that. And so when I'm doing my cover, I do set it on top of my pages. That way you get an idea of the overall look, and I'm really liking that. So that is it for right now, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys are inspired to make one of these. They're so much fun to make. And I will be back soon with part 2. Bye, guys.